Hi friends, it's Becky and I have a really fun little project that I want to do with you today. I'm feeling like making a jewelry set. I'm not going to do a full set, it's just going to be a necklace, a bracelet, and some earrings. And I want to use the gemstone and dress-up box that I won a couple of weeks ago from the most recent Gemstone Orphanage adoption auction, and that's where Debbie and Steve show a gemstone, and then if you are a subscriber to their YouTube channel, you can bid on it, and after a certain amount of time, the highest bid wins. And it's really, really fun. It's an enjoyable time to be able to spend with them and with some other people who love gemstones and love beads. And so I got this, and then I went away on vacation, and now I'm back and I get to make stuff with it. So let's do this. This is a pink banded agate, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It has all of these intricate, almost geometric swirls and bands all the way around it. It is vibrantly pink, and I am so here for this. It is almost violently pink. And I love that. So along with the dress up, the gemstone, there was a dress up bag that gave us some findings. There is a pinch bail that came in this that I could use if I would like to. But I really love doing wire wrapped bails. So I'm going to save this for another project, another date, another time. And I'm just going to use some 18 gauge wire to do a super simple bail, because I think I don't want an intricate bail with this, because there's so much going on here. I want to just balance the detail of this gemstone with a really simple bail for that. And then we're going to string on a necklace with that. And these guys right here, they've got 2 holes in them, and I think they will be fantastic. There we go, double drilled. They're rock crystal, these rectangles. They'd be fantastic as like little spacers for like a 2-stranded bracelet with some beads in between. That's gonna be so great for that. And for this I want to pair these with these guys right here. Which ones are these? I think these are the Mush-On Jade. That's what they are. So I'm going to be using these and these for a bracelet in a little bit. We'll get to it when we get to it. I think I want to throw in some opalite too. So I'm going to set these aside so I don't accidentally use them in my necklace, because I'm going to start with the necklace and then I'm going to do the bracelet and then I'll do some earrings. I'm just going to pull the beads out so I can move my organizer out of the way when I'm starting to make these things. And for the necklace, I'm going to go ahead and use this clasp set that came in the box. Let me move these rock crystal guys out of the way and the Mush-On Jade out of the way. And the Mush-On Jade is gorgeous. It has like the rosy, vibrant pink, but then it's also got like these orangey bits in it. It is like, I don't know, like pineapple, cherry, lemonade sort of things. It's really gorgeous. And then for the earrings, I thought I'd use these drops. We've got these, what is this? I'm trying to remember what. There we go. Pink jade, that's what they are. They're pink jades. They're those. So I'm going to use these in the earrings and probably some sparkly clear things as well. So I'm going to set those aside over here where I've got my ear wires. So we're ready to do that. And then I can concentrate, now that I've set those beads aside, on my necklace. So let's wrap our bail first, and then we'll start pulling out some of these other beads for all of that. But I'm really thinking that I'm going to be using these as part of it, like along the sides. because we've got the drop shape here, and then we'll have our little baby drops. It'll be like a mama duck and her baby ducklings all in a row. And I think that's going to look fantastic. And then we'll just fill in some spaces with some of these other beads, see what looks best with it, and get it all strung. When I do start stringing things, I'm going to use this pink tourmaline color of soft flex wire. It's just a nice, sort of almost dusty pink, but I think it's going to look really great, especially if you can see it through this rock crystal in the bracelet and through some of these other rock crystal chips or something on the necklace. So I'm going to be using those, and I think that's my materials for now. Let me double check on that. So I am going to be doing some wire working. I have some 6-step bail making pliers. I have some flush cutters. I have some chain nose pliers, and so I'm going to be using those for that. When I get to the stringing, I'm going to be using my magical crimper, and this is the one that I know actually works. This weekend, or this week when I was visiting my sister, I used one that I had bought for her that didn't work for me, and I think it just was a manufacturing defect for that one, because no matter what I tried, it wouldn't work. But this one I get really good results with. And then I've got some 2x2 crimp tubes that I'm going to be using on this wire. All right, moving the tools out of the way a little bit. Let's start on our wire wrapping. Again, I want to make a simple bail. So let's pull off about maybe 6 inches. I think that's going to be a decent amount. And all I'm doing right now is I am running my fingers along this wire. As I do it, I bend it a little bit that way, and then I bend it a little bit this way. And that helps work out a lot of the kinks that may show up in the wire, and running it through my fingers warms the wire up and makes it a little more pliable and easier to use than if it were cold. And this is 18 gauge wire that I'm going to be using. You can use smaller gauge if you'd like. I just felt like this was a gauge that fits well through this hole. I cannot fit 2 passes of 18 gauge through here, so it's just going to be 1 pass. And that is perfectly fine for the type of bail that I want to make. All right, so I have cut off my wire from my spool. I'm going to find the middle of my wire by just kind of bending this guy in half right here. And I'm going to just slide this guy right there into the middle of the wire. I'm holding the stone in this finger, and I'm just going to push with my thumb up, and then with my finger on that side, and I'm just doing it gently. I don't want to crush the stone. I don't want there to be a lot of drama involved. I'm just going to push it back until I feel like it is in a good place. See, this one has a bit more of a lean than this one does, and that's totally fine. Right here where they meet, I'm going to grab my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to bend them both so they are pointing up and away from the stone right here, like that. I would like them to stand sort of next to each other. Like that. Now, I am going to make my loop right here up the top of this with my bail making pliers. And since I'm going to be stringing this on a necklace with a bunch of other beads, I don't need a really long or big loop on the top of my bail, so I'm just going to choose this second loop here. It's about a, I don't know, maybe a 4mm loop. I'm going to bend that back just a little bit. and then forward here. And then I'm going to bring that back around and kind of adjust my loop a little bit. All right, and now that I've got, I'm just going to actually keep this on this loop because that way I can have my leverage. It's not going to disturb too much the way that that is going. All right, there we go, around the back. And I'm going to just go up here a little bit. And around the back. Just a really simple bail. It's got a little bit of a curve. Let's straighten that out. All right, so I've got some excess wire here. I'm going to cut that using my flush cutters. And there's these little pokey-outy bits. So I'm going to use my chain nose pliers to kind of just tuck them in next to the rest of this wire. Let me adjust the loop here. Okay, that's no longer pokey on that end. Still have a little bit of a pokey on this one because I cut 2 wires, so let me get this other one tucked in. The best thing you can do when you're working with wire is go slow and be patient. And now I have my very, very simple bail. There's a wire wrapped bail, and I can get started with my stringing. All right, I'm going to have 2 different piles for the things that I am putting on here, because whatever I do on one side, I'm going to want to do on the other. So I'm going to just lay this out next to it here to start with. And I really want these dragon vein agate beads. They are these fuchsia cubes. They're gorgeous. Ooh, wait a minute. I wanted 2 of these for the earrings. So I'm going to set these 2 aside, put them up there with the drops. And then I think I'm going to have them spaced about like that. Maybe. Let's put some of these rock crystal chip beads in here along this front part. I'm not going to use all of these for this part, but then we'll finish up the rest of the space using some of these 4mm mesh on jade rounds along the back, and some of these guys, we'll just kind of space them out that way. I'm not sure if I want to use the silver spacers or not. Let's see how I feel about it once I start stringing, and I'm going to start from the center and just go up along one side with these. And then once I've got it first half strung, I will do the second half the exact same way. And I'll have a necklace when that is done. Okay, ugh, I love these crystals. I've also got some smaller ones too that we can use if we need to. Also, the thought that I had that maybe I might use these rondelles, at least here. Yes, oh, absolutely. The chunky rondelles. These are my spacers here. We're just gonna alternate clear and pink, clear and pink. Okay, and then these other crystals can fill in those gaps with these as we go up the rest of the way with this necklace. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need 7 of these over here on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I think the nuggets are probably not going to get used in the necklace since I'm using these instead. It's not going to be as super involved. But I am, if you notice, using a lot of the pink that came in that box. I've got a lot of clear crystal things with some lighter pink things, and I think those would go really well together. But that might be just another little project. So let's pull out our beading wire. This is medium-sized beading wire. It's 0.019 inch beading wire, which is the best beading wire to use with the magical crimper. So it actually works. All right, let's take a look at this little setup, and I'm probably not going to be making any changes to this because I am loving it already. Yes, beautiful. But yeah, the adoption auctions are great. It seems like they do it about once a quarter. The best way to find out about them is to go ahead and subscribe to the Homestrung Jewelry YouTube channel, because they will do a preview video to show you what's coming up and what time it is and all of that. Also, I am expecting very soon my Gemstone Orphanage box for July. It is a bi-monthly box. So the last one I got was May, so next one is the July one. And it is not pink, I don't think. And that is totally okay because I do like other colors. Believe it or not, I do like other colors. Oof. Yes. It's the sparkle. It's the sparkle for me. Honestly, that's just, it makes my day. Absolutely makes my day. So let me get these smaller beads divided in half so that I know my limits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I like to count things out by fives. I don't know, it's weird. Do you have a number that you prefer counting things out by? Because for me, it's fives. I really love it. Okay, so then 4 and 4. All right, so that is half and half. And then I need my larger rounds, not the smaller ones. I need these also divided out. I can pull in these smaller ones as we get closer to the back if I need to. These are also going to be involved. It's just such a thoughtfully like curated selection of like beads and findings that go so well with the gemstone that you get. You know, Debbie does a lot of that work to pick them all out and put them together. And they usually end up so fabulous, just absolutely the best. There we go. Do you see what I mean about the wire color showing through in these clear beads, and why that's selecting that color was important when I was using these? You know what I didn't do? I didn't divide these up into two. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, and then there's that extra. Right. Let's get one of these guys. I like the size difference between these and the other. It gives it some more dimensionality. And the shape differences here, where you've got the cylinder and the square and the drop. Yeah, that looks really good. All right. Now, I'm just gonna check length here. See how I feel about that. And it's probably going to need a little bit more length up along the back. So I am going to be using some of these smaller crystal rondelles, because there were 2 different sizes that came in that. We had the 6x4s, which I've put in here, and then we've also had some 4x3s, which is what I'm kind of pulling out now. And I only need like a couple more inches of wire strung for this, so I'm gonna only need a few of these. And it's gonna give us a little bit more of a graduated look too, because we've got the larger rondelles, then we've got these guys, and then we'll have the smaller ones. I think I'm gonna check with this, see where that leaves me. And I like the way where the place that is left me. So I am going to pop a little bead stopper on here, and then stretch this out. Cut off the wire on this end and string exactly what I've strung on this side onto this side. So I'll meet you back here after that's done. All right, I got both sides strung. I still have my bead stopper on this end. I did double check. It is the perfect length for me. So I'm going to go ahead and pop a little crimp tube on one end of my wire, grab one part of my clasp and put that on my wire, and then bend my wire back through my crimp tube so I can crimp this guy on here and have this be done. Hold on. Does this wire fit through the hole of the bead twice? If yes, hooray. If not, that's okay, because you know what? It doesn't need to. Just go through the crimp, not through the bead. So it comes out through there. Oh, it doesn't need to go that far, does it? Because I can always tighten up the wire as I get closer there. I like for my toggles and for my clasp to have a little bit of articulation, so that is a very good size for my loop. And I don't generally use wire guardians with this wire. It doesn't need it. All right. To use the magical crimper, you're going to just center your crimp right in this concavity inside the crimper. Give it a squish, and if all four corners get squished down like it's a ravioli, then your crimper is working right. Turn it to a different angle and give it another little squish. You don't have to squish that hard, just a squish. And keep going around, just in different angles, but still centered. And when you stop feeling some resistance, that means that all of those edges have been smoothed down and it's turned into a nice little ball of crimp, which is very secure. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing on this other side, but I'm not going to talk you through it. If you want to watch me do it again, go ahead and hit the rewind button and go back to that walkthrough. Right now I want the wire to not be all tight. So when I tighten this up, I want this to be loose. If it's curved, then that means that I'll still have some movement in the necklace after I tighten up these beads. Right. And on the second crimp, if there's a little bit of space between the crimp and your last bead, that's perfect, because that way you can get the sides of the crimper in there, because again, you want to center it. Yep, hold on. There is my necklace. It is beautiful, and if you want to see it on me, I will be trying this on during my weekly wrap-up. I like to talk about the things that I've made, how things are going, and then my plans for the next week, and I usually do that on Sundays. Sometimes it doesn't happen till Mondays. Depends on the week, but it'll probably happen tomorrow if you want to watch that and see what this looks like on me. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and move this guy out of the way. And we're going to start on the bracelet. All right. Now, remember I had this 6mm Mashon jade. I think that's how it's pronounced. And it's going to be some spacers. Okay. One side of this is flatter than the other, so I'm going to turn it so that the rounded side is up. and the flattened side is down. All right, and I want these to be right next to that. But I think what I want is for there to be a single one of the opalite beads between all of those, because the hole on this is large enough that I can fit 2 strands of my wire in there, and then it can go through there and then come out, because I'm going to be doing 2 strands at the same time. And that should end up being a long enough bracelet to fit my wrists with all 6 of these. And this opalite, these are 8mm rounds. Just laying it out so I know about what it's going to look like. Right. Maybe I'll make some dangles with these extra beads to add to my bracelet. I think that would probably be a good idea. All right. Just had it out. And that is... Oh yes, that's definitely going to be long enough, I think, as long as it doesn't snug up too much when I do this. All right, so since it's going to be just basically a straight shot down the way, I'm gonna peel off a doubled up amount of wire, but leave myself several inches on either end for crimping and extra things. And with both of these ends together, I already found my middle part. Let me grab my clasp. I did not bring it out when I was showing you what I was using. I just wanted to use this clasp from my it's just from my stash. It's just a little clasp that will go through here. All right. So what I'm going to need to do is make sure. Okay, I think this will work. All right. There we go. Little toggle clasp. So I'm going to put one end of my toggle, the toggle part, right in the middle of my wire. And I'm going to slide a crimp bead down, but I'm not going to crimp it until after I'm ready to crimp both ends. That way, if I need to make any adjustments or change things from one end and the other, I can take out everything off the wire without having to cut the wire and start completely over. So I'm just going to slide this down to about where I want it to be, but I'm not going to crimp it yet, not until I am ready. And that is going to be enough space, hopefully, for it to go through with. Okay, perfect. All right, yes. Come on, buddy. I gotta try the toggle on with that. And I'm gonna put both ends of my wire through one of my opalite rounds. That's just going to be right there next to that crimp. And then on each of my strands, I'm going to put one Mashon Jade round, and then I will put each strand through one of the holes. So both strands are going through the holes in the rock crystal. There we go. Like that. And then one Mashon Jade on each strand. And then both strands. I'm going to stagger this when I put it through there. That way I know this is the top strand and this is the bottom strand, so they don't get twisted around inside of this one bead. There we go. Top strand, bottom strand. Because that can happen. Top strand, bottom strand. And these guys. Same thing. I'm just going to follow this pattern until I get all the way to the end, and I will meet you there when I do. My hands are busy with stringing. I can't hit my pause button yet. There we go. See, that way you've got a little crisscross, a little shapity shaping happening. I like that. I like that a lot. I'll meet you back here once I've got all of this strung up, and we will finish up the bracelet. All right, I have strung most of this. I have just the little bit that I'm going to put on at the end right before my toggle clasp. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and crimp this one here at the end, because I don't want to tighten up my beads too much and choke off this connection point, because I like, again, as I said, having some articulation with the toggle part of a clasp. So I just was adjusting this end to make sure that this is exactly where I want it to be so that I can crimp it. And once that's crimped, then I'll feel more comfortable with sort of adjusting the rest of this so that it sits nicely and isn't a little screwy, with the wire going through 2 beads and then 1 bead, and 2 beads and then 1 bead. There we go. See, now I can scooch these beads down and just get them all scooched where I want them to be. Go. Everybody's getting a little bit scooched, and that's totally fine. I just didn't want to do this part until I was sure where that crimp was going to end up on that. Right. There you go. Get all the way through till the end. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I love it. And I'm just going to join my pieces of wire together with a crimp. hold on, because I want, is that one turned over? I think that one might have gotten turned over. Rounded end, rounded end, rounded end, flat end. So you need to go this way? No, this way. That's gonna be better. Okay. Haha. Just getting those guys where I want them to be. Alright, let's get this crimp on first. That way I'll bring both of these wires together, and then the rest of it can be done with just a single wire. And I want to put that opalite bead between both of the crimps so that it can kind of act as a buffer against the end of the wire when I cut it off. So let's get that crimped there with both of those together. No more adjustments need to be made. I am happy with where that bracement, or where the beads are on that bracelet in relation to each other. How tight the wires are, or how loose, whichever the case may be. Nothing's all turned around and twisted around. Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I'm gonna put the opalite, put both strands through this opalite, and then just cut it off on the other side of the opalite. And I'm just gonna choose one of these. Does not matter to me which one. Cut that there. And now I'm going to put another crimp on here. Go through this guy. Nice. I can get 3 strands through there. That way it really will be kind of protecting the cut ends of those wires. That is exactly what I want. So let's go ahead. Just wiggling this to make sure that I can get it on both sides so that it is centered before I squeeze it. Sometimes you gotta wiggle it just a little bit. Go ahead. You can wiggle it just a little bit. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Perfect. It's kind of loose, but it's not going to fall off my wrist. And it's an easy on, easy off. Super fun. So far so good. Let's do our earrings. All right, so for the earrings, I grabbed some head pins. So I think that they will work really well. These have some little fancy ends on them. I'm just gonna pop our little guy right there on that, and then put one of these 3x4mm crystals there. And I'm going to do this is a very stiff wire. So I'm going to do just a simple loop on there. I bend the wire over the top of the bead. I don't want to leave too much space there. And then about 1 centimeter from that bend, and I know from experience that this part of my finger, like right here where my fingernail meets it, That measures about 1 centimeter. I'll show you real quick in a minute. Let's see, this is the centimeter mark up here. That measures 1 centimeter. You can see that. So I usually just measure against my finger there, and that is kind of the perfect place to be able to then curl back your simple loop. And I'm just going to grab my round nose pliers for that instead of using my bail making pliers, because I like being able to slide up or down as I am doing it, depending on how close I am getting when I'm bending this loop back. Here we go. Simple loop. It's almost done. Just needs a little, there we go. So that is all closed up. Let's do that on the second drop. Just being careful with doing this, because if you're not careful when you're bending your wire around crystal and gemstones, you could crack or break it. The gemstone, not the wire. The wire would be fine. Okay. Now I'm going to grab a couple more of these rondelles and these guys, and I'm going to make myself a little loop-de-loop with some 20 gauge wire. Just a little link that will connect this drop with the ear wires. It'll be a little decorated. Okay, so that's already flush. So I'm going to make a simple loop here. I bent the wire when I did that before, so that when I looped it, my loop would be centered. That's not a centered loop. It's all off balance over that way. So when I bend this around this way, to start off with, I'm going to put my pliers back in here, and just underneath where the top of the wire meets the stem of the wire, just going to give it a little bit of a bend back, and that just centers my loop on there. Again, this is just going to be another simple loop. I am giving this loop a smush with my pliers to help work harden it. And then I think I need to about 3 fingers down. That's good. All right. And that makes a little eye pin. I'm going to go ahead and finish just one of these earrings with y'all, and I'll do the second one after. I'm going to put on one of these crystals, one of these dragon vein jasper squares, and then another little crystal. And then I'm going to bend this wire over the top of the bead. Let me just get that bent correctly. There we go. Just a right angle bend. I'm going to measure for my 1 centimeter against my finger. And then I do the bend first, and then I roll it back on this side. It's when you don't have beads in the way that you can just roll the loop up and then do the bend. You know, it's just like steps in different order, but they do the same thing. You still have the roll up and the bend. And I'm just going to give this loop a smush to work harden it. I don't need to do that for these ones because that wire is already very hard. And with this loop here, I'm just going to swing it open like you do a jump ring, so I can connect it to this loop on my little guy there. Gonna close this. Just gonna swing it back. There we go. And then I can put my little ear wires, and I pre-made these ear wires. They're just my handmade ear wires that I like to make with 22 gauge wire. I've got like all the gauges represented today almost. Almost, but not quite. And that's just because 20 gauge wire tends to hurt my ears when I wear it. And it's just because my ear holes are not used to wearing a thicker gauge. They haven't been stretched out enough for that. All right, so that's just one of them. I'll finish the second one off camera. But there's the earring. Here is my bracelet. And here is my beautiful necklace with my gemstone that I got from the adoption option, and the dress up bag, and it feels very dressy. I will do a try on for this during my wrap up and chat this weekend. I hope y'all are having a fantastic time, a wonderful summer. I hope you're staying cool wherever you are. And if you like what you see, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. And I'm going to put some links in the description below to the Homestrung Jewelry YouTube channel, to their website where you can find the Gemstone Orphanage subscription boxes. And if you just subscribe to their YouTube channel, you'll find out when they do their next adoption auction. But they pack so many goodies into this. It's definitely worth it. Have a great day. Bye.